What's up, everybody? So, today we got ohms, 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 and more ohms. That's a lot of ohms. So, hang out for a minute and enjoy. Yeah, you just came back from the fridge. Yeah, go ahead and watch this for a minute. So, I see in a lot of these groups, people asking, my amplifier does 2 ohm. Can I put a 4 ohm sub on it? Well, I mean, yeah, you're just not going to get as much power because of the ohm load. And, I put like a video up the other day, just playing around with the AMM1 and my little daily driver Jeep. I'm wanting to clamp everything. Like, I am just wanting to test everything. But, that little 3K, it is a 2 ohm stable amplifier. I got it wired at 2 ohm, but I'm staying up in the 4 ohm range. Like playing music, man, it's like 4 ohms and above. And a lot of the younger guys and the new guys is that really need to learn how the whole ohm thing works. And I know impedance rise can be confusing for everybody. And one little test that I encourage everybody to do. One, you need a good multimeter. I don't care who you are, you need a good multimeter. I'm not talking the AutoZone special that's like 12 bucks. You need something around like the $50 range or better. And the reason I say that is, one, I had a cheap multimeter when I started doing this. And, man, I use that thing for everything in the automotive field. But when you start playing with car audio, like when you're trying to test your RCA voltage out of the head unit, a lot of them cheap RCA, or a lot of the cheap multimeters, can't talk this morning, they don't like reading anything under 5 volt, and I've seen that a lot. You get a good multimeter, and it don't have to be a Fluke or anything like that, but just a decent one that will read down to like millivolts and stuff like that. I'm using a Southwire brand. And I mean, it's been great for everything I've ever done with it. But you need that. But take a multimeter and put it on the ohm setting. And hook the leads from the multimeter to one of the coils on a subwoofer. You only need to do one coil. You don't have to do both. And just push in and out on the cone really slowly. And watch your ohms on that multimeter. Like initially, when you first hook it up, it should be in the ballpark of what the coil ohmage is rated for. Like if it's a dual 2, it should be around 2 ohm. And that even varies from coil to coil because you could be setting at like 1.8 or you could be setting at 2.2 or more. But anyway, when you move in and out, you're going to see how the coil or how the ohms go all over the place. I mean, they are going to be everywhere. So that'll give you an idea how your impedance rise works in an enclosure. It ain't going to be as drastic with the sub in the enclosure, with good cone control and everything, but your ohm's still going to be all over the place. Now, when you have an amplifier that's rated to do 3,000 watts at 2 ohm or 1 ohm, to get 3,000 watts out of that amp, I'm not talking all amps because some amps are like, a 5K or better and a 3 that marked as a 3K. We're not getting into all that. We're just talking like a normal 3K. If it does 3K at 2 ohm and you had the amp wired at 2 ohm, like you got a dual 4 ohm sub on it at 2 ohm, you're never, ever really gonna see the 3K because with impedance, you're never going to be able to get down to 1 ohm. It's almost impossible. I'm not saying it is impossible. I'm just saying it's almost impossible. And that is why a lot of guys wire lower. And I saw a post on TikTok last night, man. This guy's like, never, ever, ever, ever wire your amps under what they're rated for. And a lot of us is trying to tell him, about impedance rise. So he makes a video talking about, oh, well, yeah, so the manufacturer, you just gotta tell them that you had it wired at a half or whatever, and they're gonna send you a new amp. Man, most manufacturers ain't gonna send you a new amp anyway. At best, if it's still under warranty, they're gonna give you, you know, an address to send the amp to have it repaired. At best, but they ain't gonna be able to tell. Like, they're never gonna tell. Now, me, they will know, because I do so much social media talking about where my amps are wired at. But then again, I have a lot of supporting videos on here showing that they've never reached under recommended ohm. So yeah, I mean, even though my amps are wired at a half, I've got all them videos that I've been doing recently with this AMM1 showing my ohm load staying above 1 per amp, you know. So, back to one of the original questions is, can you run, you know, your 4 ohm load on an amplifier rated at 2? Yeah, by all means. But, you know, most time, depending upon amp, you're going to get half the power. If it's rated at 3K, you're going to get 1500. And a lot of this is why I've always recommended, when people ask me what amp to run, what amp to run, what amp to run. If your sub is rated at 1200 RMS, put a 3K on it, like, all day. Just because of all the testing I've done and other people have done and so on and so forth, fighting impedance, you're hardly ever going to see at 1200. If your sub's rated at 1200, you put a 3K on it, you might touch it every once in a while. And I kind of prove that in the video I did, you know, which these Genesis are rated at 1200. I don't know why, but they're rated at 1200. And on that little 3K, yeah, I was staying, and the best I got out of it was over 19. But that's wired where it's supposed to be. But that enclosure it's in, it's a decent enclosure. It ain't great. It was tuned kind of high for my daughter to just listen to everything from like Black Sabbath to Chance the Rapper on. And it's kind of high, and it stayed at 2 times rise. Like, it stays there pretty much like nonstop. With a majority of the music I've tested on it, it stays at 2 times rise. So yeah, we got, you know, 19 out of it. But there again, kind of proving my point, I have a 1200 watt sub with a 3K amp, and it took a 3K amp to get in the ballpark of the power rating that the sub is rated for RMS. So it all comes down to ohms and understanding rise. And, you know, the video put up the other day, I did do a little music run on there on real-time power to show you real-time power, but above that is the ohm load that you're constantly staying in. And I will say this, AMM1, I mean, these are things that I've already kind of known, but it is so fun to play with this AMM1. Go back and look at the video, and it opens doors. I'm waiting on warmer weather with my wife's help, and to get my little you know, SPL Lab wireless meter out. That way my wife can record a lot for me. I can have the meter hooked up, and I'm going to start playing some test tones and get back to my peak in here. And that's what I'm going to use the meter for, is to find my peak again. And just play around and see what power I'm at my peak versus not at my peak, and things like that. Because, you know, there's an old saying, and it's kind of been proven to be true to an extent. Wherever you have the highest rise is where you're most efficient on your enclosure, which means, you know, if I'm making like a ton of power at 2.2, well, that would be a low efficient point of my enclosure, maybe, because when I'm like the most efficient in my enclosure, which means you're getting the loudest on the least amount of power, I should be doing the least amount of power, and the meter should prove it. So these are kind of things that I just want to test some more. But yeah, try to always run, and I hate to say this, guys, because you really need to know what you're doing. I recommend people, you know, run at least 2 times the amplifier they have in subwoofer RMS. But is it okay to wire under? I don't want to tell you yes, because, you know, there's going to be a young kid watching this right now with a 5K on a piece of 4 gauge with 1 battery and a stock alternator. you know. But if you have sufficient electrical, I'm talking if your electrical is on point, you got multiple runs of like some good wire through the car that's properly sized for the amperage you're doing and everything. Yeah, I'd say wire down. Like if your ohm load from your subs is, right there with your amplifier, if you can like, if you're wired series, maybe you can wire parallel, drop down to like half ohm and play around. And even on tar amps, when I had the tar amps in here, everybody's like, oh, they blow if you wire them under. No, I ran mine way under. And there were songs that would cause the impedance to fall under what the amplifier wanted. And it would just protect from low impedance, It wouldn't blow, they'd just protect. So play around with it, but understand what you're doing. Definitely understand it. I'm not saying like wire down to a half ohm and jump in there, put a song on, turn it to your full tilt on your head unit, and start out with your bass knob all the way up. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying turn your head unit up to where you normally demo at, start playing, and roll that knob up. Roll it up a little bit and listen. Roll it up and listen. Roll it up and listen. Let your coils get warm and just inch into it. That's kind of how I like to do things. Like I'm getting ready to swap over to some lower powered subs than these for test purposes. And I'm not going to get in here and like just, ham fist it. No, I'm going to massage my way up to it and see what they actually want, what they're going to do. Because do I have power to blow them? God, yes. I mean, they're lower power than the Genesis just eating whatever, but they're the Leviathans. They're under the Genesis, and we want to test them. So, we're wanting to burp, see what numbers we can get out of them, and I had to stay wired at a half ohm to do that. But I'm not just going to ham fist it. So that's a little bit about ohms today, man. There's so much more we could go into on here and how everything works. I encourage you guys to watch more videos, that go more in depth on impedance rise or what some people call box rise, and, kind of get more of that knowledge. All I'm really giving you guys is like a blanket term, I'm just trying to give you the basics of it. There's so much more to it. And I myself, I have had to watch a lot of videos to fully understand how all of this works. And I'm just trying to give you guys a piece of it. But anyway, guys, that's all. I got to go to work this morning and I need more coffee. Y'all have a great day, guys. Peace out. And as always, bass on.